Hi and welcome to upsidersinformation. In today's video, I will go over this very energy charged week ending with the new moon in Taurus by Sunday, but we have a lot going into it. And first, let me do a quick recap from previous predictions in light of the Pope's passing. In the lunar eclipse video, I mentioned that we were in the Saros cycle 123 that started with the lunar eclipse in 1087, and both charts had a stellium in Pisces and Jupiter, the traditional ruler of Pisces, in the same positions as nowadays. And that year we had many royal deaths, and Pope Victor III died after 1 year pontificate. For what I mentioned that this year the Pope might not make it. And I expect the death of some other world leaders too. We'll see who. He died in Easter's from all days at age 88. 8 is the number of Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of karma. Now is the net number 7, which is a spiritual number. Coincidentally, Karl Schwab at 88 also steps down from the World Economic Forum. Some would argue that this would be the last pope, as he was a Jesuit, and Jesuits got identified by their austere black robes, for which the term Black Pope came to be. Jesuits have a controversial reputation as they were aligned with communist agendas to infiltrate the church. And this pope had its own controversial history at the time of the Dirty War in Argentina. But we'll see what happens next in the Vatican. In the meantime, the Vatican Bank has been tainted with controversy about fraud, corruption, and scandals regarding politics and finance too. And also, I want to address the prediction I made about the market meltdown which we had and the financial crisis that we're still in. But with the North Node in Pisces, we still have some time to recoup before it hits bottom. Usually when the North Node goes into Aquarius, which will happen mid-2026 to the end of 2027. At that time, I'm planning to be out of the markets, and there are options to protect your wealth, like life insurance, cash value life insurance, where you can borrow against it, anywhere from annuities to index, universal life insurance, etc. But that's out of the scope of my practice. Even if I got some training, I just apply my knowledge for personal use. But if you want to know more about that, there are plenty of people in YouTube that you can follow, like Coach JV from Warrior Academy, and he has a whole team dedicated to help you with your options. Back to the astrology. This is an important week, as I'm recording this on Monday. We have a triple conjunction of Saturn, the planet of karma, with the North Node of fate, and Venus, the planet of love and money. Saturn with the North Node happens once in a decade, and it signals the end of a karmic cycle and the beginning of a new one in line with a spiritual upgrade. Saturn is a planet of grounding, the hard lessons in life, is the planet of structure and foundation, is the planet of boundaries, is the planet of authority and the government, and is also called Kronos, the Lord of Time. And the North Node is is like our North Star, is our direction where we're heading to, and is the node of fate, and it acts as a magnifier. This is like the opening of a karmic portal, resetting our lives, correcting our path towards alignment with our destiny, and ushering awakening on a personal level. For the collective, it can trigger critical mass. Critical mass is the minimum amount of energy required to elicit a catalyst reaction of change that leads to revolutions, as the masses are awakenings to the powers that be. But we have Venus in the mix, and Venus is the love and harmony planet. It's the planet of diplomacy and beauty, luxury, and thus money too. Hopefully, with this combo, we can offset with diplomacy the Mars-Pluto opposition that is rather explosive on the world stage. And if diplomacy doesn't cut it, at least the tariff will do. On a personal note, anything that has not been working out for you is going to go. Either your decision or theirs, or just life will take care of it. On Thursday, the moon triggers all the planets of the stellium in Pisces, as we spoke, the triple conjunction of the North Node with Venus and Saturn, turning the page onto a new chapter. By Friday, Mars will oppose Pluto exact for the third and final time. The first time when Mars opposed Pluto, we had the assassination attempt of Trump, and Uranus, the ruler of surprise and upheavals, is conjunct by Orb, the malefic fixed star Algol again. As I mentioned before, he's not out of the woods yet. On Saturday, we have the dark moon conjunct Chiron, the wounded planet, and this is like a spiritual PMS, where we have a bit of a doom and gloom attitude, putting the last nail on the coffin of the past before the new beginning with the new moon by Sunday. Now, this new moon is in Taurus, and Taurus is a sign of values, where we reorganize our priorities. This is also very related to finances, where we might make a decision in the light of the current circumstances. But this new moon is in a T-square with the Mars-Pluto opposition, where we find ourselves in a tug of war between taking action with Mars or transforming or reinventing ourselves with Pluto. So we might not know what to do first. On the world stage, it looks rather volatile, and since the new moon is opposed Vesta, the asteroid of investments, this has to do with finances too, where we are between the old system and the new. And because Uranus, the ruler of crypto, tech, the electric grid, and also shocks and upheavals, is at 26 degrees of Taurus, where the malefic star Algol is, this is a shock that might have ripple effects on the markets. Coincidentally, with solar maximum 25, we have increased solar flares activity, and geophysicist Stephen Burns just made an emergency update in YouTube stating that a massive coronal hole has reappeared on the Earth-facing side of the Sun. During its previous rotation, it was linked to a global seismic burst that caused the earthquake in Myanmar, Burma on March 28. Now, a high-speed solar wind approaches Earth again with another potential seismic event. But we'll see. I hope it doesn't fry the grid. About finances, everyone is worried about the tariffs. But again, the US corporation is bankrupt. So Dodge, Fort Knox audit, the crypto reserve, etc., it all aims to a reduction on the debt that we're not even paying the interest on. So, the tariffs accomplish many things. One is a negotiation tool with other countries. Two, it levels the field. People are afraid of retaliation, but I think the retaliation is ours. And third and final, it boosts domestic productions, so jobs. The transitory side effects of the tariffs is a market freakout, but historically, tariffs overall has helped us. And I would love them to replace taxes, but I'm afraid that that's a tall order. Now, the truth is that the opposition criticism of the tariffs are hypocritical, as the previous administration never removed the tariffs imposed by the president's first period. They actually cashed in. And the Fort Knox audit is an attempt to revalue gold, which will push market price up, which can in turn lead to further revaluations, causing yet another market price upgrade. And this could be a little bit of a race in which, in turn, it will help reduce the debt. Regarding platinum, we had an unconfirmed rumor that Zelensky got 21% shares in a platinum mining company in South Africa. So we don't know, but overall metals and commodities should be a safer investment for the next couple of years with the state of affairs in the world. Now, the silver-gold ratio is over 100 to 1, meaning you need over 100 coins of silver to buy one of gold. Historically has been 1 to 50. So this is halfway, and silver has to catch up yet. So when Jupiter ingress into Cancer, that rules silver by mid-year for a whole year. Then it will go into Leo, favoring gold again. And the crypto reserve with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP will also help reduce debt and could have a similar effect on price action in the long run. But in the meantime, the daily exchange volume is down. So let's see how this new moon will affect the US. And remember, it's not necessarily the day off, but a lunar cycle, so a whole month. And that can have ripple effects for up to 6 months. So Pluto, the planet of transformation, is transiting the second house of money and approaching the US South Node, ushering a new financial system over time. This is not overnight. This is a slow-moving planet. And being in Aquarius, it points to crypto. The new moon in the 5th house of projects and money that comes from the home will increase the domestic production. And Chiron, the wounded planet, return in the 4th house of homeland in Aries, the sign of war, squaring the US Pluto, conjunct the south node of letting go, can be an attack, though this can be a financial attack. And with Uranus, the ruler of the 2nd house of money, in the 6th house of routine and health, square the US moon, representing the population, this can disrupt people's lives if there's an attack on the infrastructure or the grid or a new virus affecting people's health. But all these are slow-moving planets, so the timing is more of a long term. Mars in the 8th house of death and rebirth, approaching the US North Node, is a war signature, either internal as civil war or external as world conflict, or a financial war, or any combo, or all of the above. With Jupiter, ruler of growth, in the 7th house of partnerships and on the US Mars, representing aggression, this could be an aggressive US expansion or alliances with allies, or increased conflicts with public enemies, or again, a mix of all the above. And with Black Moon Lilith, representing revenge, and Vesta for investments, in the 11th house of money that comes from the government, trining US Ceres, the astro of harvest, the US is retaliating financially and taking profits, so to speak, by putting its resources to use, that being gold or Bitcoin, to offset the debt. Now, with Mars opposed Pluto, expect volatility. And in the beginning of May, we have Venus conjunction Neptune in Aries. This could be false hope or disillusion or fake breakouts, as Venus is in detriment in Aries and Neptune is the sign of confusion, and markets don't like confusion. By the 4th, Pluto turns retrograde, and this can be a change in trends, either in response to that fake breakout, correcting the markets, or an actual change of the current trends, which would actually be helpful. For cryptos, these Saturn transits are not necessarily good for the leading alts, so no alt season yet. And with Bitcoin, we have mixed signals pointing to sideways action or consolidation. And for XRP, it looks good. If we have the correct chart, we don't know. And the Fed meeting on the 7th might not cut rates until mid-year, not to slow down the economy any further. And with that, I will leave you today. Remember, this is not financial advice. If you want a private reading, which is where I can actually help you the most, my prices are affordable. I will never reach out to you, so be aware of scammers. And it takes me some time to prep these videos and a second to like, so please do, to tell the algorithm that this content matters, so I don't get lost in the maze. Thank you very much and happy Easters, and see you next month. Namaste.